welcome if you're new, welcome back if you're not. Today's video is going to be dedicated 100% to Rolling Korea because guys, they have such a good program to study Korean in Seoul, but nobody else is talking about it. I've googled them, I've looked them up on YouTube, all of that, and there's not many videos about them, so I gotta share, I gotta spread the word. I can't be gatekeeping them because guys, had I known about them the first time I wanted to go to Seoul, I would have 100% booked with them. So let me tell you guys all about them. Today's video is going to be broken down into a couple of parts, so I'm going to timestamp them all down here just so you guys can skip right to it and just see what you want to see. It's going to be broken down into these categories: booking, arriving in Seoul, school, classes, testing, location, expectations, environment, and price. Let's get started by me telling you guys how I found Rolling Korea. I was in Seoul at the end of August and beginning of September of last year for 3 weeks studying Korean at a different program. While I was over there, I was looking into music production classes in Seoul because I was like, fuck it, right? Let me just try this. And I found a program that was going to be 2 months. I wanted to keep studying Korean, but had I stayed with the first program, oh girl, I would have broken the bank. It would have easily run me up like 10K. On their website, they have a little questionnaire where you can answer, do you want to book this right now? Is this for the future? Are you just gauging prices? How long do you want to stay for? And what program do you want to stay? And also, do you want a hotel or not? I just filled that out, I sent it over, and I was like, okay, let's see what they tell me. This time was around the 14th/15th of September, but I was gonna go back on the 13th of October. So I just told one of my friends, hey, do you wanna come with me? I'm gonna go check out this new school. I emailed them, but I didn't really get a response, so I'm just gonna go check them out, see what's going on. Like, might as well, I'm here, right? I was like, hi, I'm here to get information. I kind of emailed you guys, but I didn't get a response. And they took my name, and then they're like, oh yeah, we sent it to you, and I checked, it was in my spam. She was so chill. She was explaining it all to us. She was breaking it down. And good thing that my friend was there with me because, oh my goodness, usually when people like talk to me or explain something to me, I don't have any questions because I'm just kind of like drawing a blank. I'm just like, tell me more. But girl, my friend was on her toes. She was like, okay, this. And then what about this? And then what about this? Like, she was asking so many questions. Like, that's a good question. That's a good question. And then she started like thinking, maybe I want to switch. And I was like, switch with me, please, switch with me. I don't want to be here alone. Booking process was so easy. It said you can either pay via bank transfer or credit card. But since I didn't have the credit card I wanted to use, and also I think there's like a little like usage fee or percent that they tag on if you use the credit card, but they let you know. So I was like, okay, I'll do it with bank transfer when I get home. They sent me an email with all the information of like the wiring number, the bank name, blah, 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 all of that information. I went into my bank, we filled that all out, and I sent it to them, and they literally confirmed everything within like a day or two. The whole time they were emailing back and forth with me. It was very consistent. If I emailed them any questions or anything, they'd respond so quickly. It was just like the time difference, and if they were in a business day, that's it. Like, it was so quick. I'd send them something, and either a few hours later or the next day, I'd get a response. And they told me, okay, your airport pickup is gonna be at this time, and it's gonna be at this exit. I arrived at Incheon, and it was literally like I got there and a few hours later they'd pick me up because they'd schedule it that way. It was so I would be able to like get to the exit and have time and wouldn't feel pressured or anything during baggage claim, etc. So it was chill. I got there, I waited a little, then I met up with the driver and he took me to my Airbnb. On to the school. They sent us an email letting us know when orientation was, like at what time. I got there and orientation started at 9 and we were waiting in the lounge for a little, and then they came in and they started explaining everything to us, and this is what the handbook looks like. It lets you know like all the services that they can help you out with, like right here. There's a student services section where if you need help booking something, like for example, my friend and I wanted to go to the Hyde Museum, they helped us book that. There's a little kitchen area where you can make yourself noodles or snacks, coffee, and they give you a little free drink coupon. After we all introduced ourselves, they pulled us one by one to a separate room to go do our tests. The way that this was structured was it was just one person at a time with a teacher, and she would just ask you questions. Like for me, she asked me, oh, is this your first time in Korea? And I was like, no, it isn't. I was here literally like 3 weeks ago. We just chit-chatted back and forth for a little, and then she decided what class you'd be placed in based on your ability to speak and talk and all of that. If you're nervous and bombed, that's completely fine, because it's happened where people get really anxious in the test and then later they realize that the class is way too easy for them, but they just kind of froze in the test. That is fine. You can let them know, hey, this is kind of easy for me, and they'll be like, okay, and then they'll put you in a higher class. Así de fácil. Staff introduced themselves to us. We got some of their cacao so we'd be able to chit chat with them, because there is a chat with just the front desk. So whatever you need, or if they're giving you updates, a change for you specifically, like for example, I had a few things with like my dance classes where they needed to text me directly. They texted me directly. They also email you the schedule every single month. And for any scheduling changes, they'll always keep you updated via email. There was one time where like a class was canceled, it was moved around, and we all got the email. It said, hey, by the way, this class is being moved, or this class, this is your group for this class, etc. They're always emailing back and forth with you. There's so much communication. On to classes. This is the November schedule. All the information I'm going to give you guys is based on the November and December schedule. And keep in mind, it might change, but you're going to know about it because they'll let you know. The general classes are from 10 a.m. to 12:50, and there's 10-minute breaks at every 50-minute mark. So 10:50, 10-minute break, 11:50, 10-minute break, 12:50, lunch. If you take the semi-intensive courses, there's a class after that. It's from 2:40 to 3:50 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There's K-pop vocal classes from 4 to 5:50 on Mondays, and a dance class from 8 to 9:10 on Monday as well. And there is another dance class on Thursday from 6:50 to 8. So yeah, that's pretty much the schedule. If you just take the general class, you'll be free by 1 p.m. A question I get a lot is, how much free time did you have? And honestly, I didn't have much, but that's because I had another school that I had to take care of. But had I just been enrolling Korea, oh girl, I would have had so much goddamn free time because you're out by 1. On Mondays, we'd have a thing called class lunch, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Your whole class and the teacher would go eat together at a restaurant that's like nearby. You'd all decide a few days before or that middle dia, you know. If you have a friend in a different class, you can tag along. It's a big community. It's a big family. You could just go vibe out with who you want to vibe out with. It's cool. Let me get back to classes because I got a little sidetracked. The way the classes were structured was that we'd get in, we'd kind of do some review of the homework from the previous night. We'd all answer a question. The teacher would literally be making conversation with us. I love the way that our teacher engaged us with the material because, oh my goodness, it didn't even feel like we were in school. It just felt like we were chit-chatting, but we were learning grammar, which I thought was amazing. For example, she would ask us, like, what did you do this weekend? And what are you going to do next weekend? That's actually how I found out about a concert and ended up going. Let me show you guys how much material we got through in 2 months. Look at this. Look at this. Let me explain. I got there in the smack dab middle of the unit. So I started with, I think it's 1B. I started at around chapter 4. At the end of the month, we took our test and we moved on to 2A. We finished this whole thing to 2B in December, and I left halfway through. If I were to just combine the work that I actually did do, it's still this much. 2 books. Textbook, workbook, textbook, workbook. We went through the books very thoroughly. We did every single exercise both in the textbook and the workbook itself. We had a lot of practice, and I love the way we practiced because it was like you needed to plug things into sentence structures, but you had to think about it like this because it just gave you a list of words in their dictionary form, and you just had to like go for it and start remixing them and changing them around and just answering different questions. And I really like that because I love like just having to come up with things on the fly. That is my favorite way to learn a language because then you're actually learning and computing it, you know, like it's not just repetition. On to testing. The way testing works is that at the end of each month we would do a test based on the whole book. We would have a written, a spoken, and also a project type thing. That was more like an art project, but the testing, I liked it. Let me run that down. I don't remember exactly what order it was, if it was written and then spoken, but it was on 2 separate days. For the written test, they would just give us a packet. We'd fill it all out. It was like multiple choice, conjugations, all of that, and then at the end there would be a section where you'd have to listen and write it down. It was either a recording or it was just the teacher making up sentences, and she would just like repeat them a couple of times. We'd write them down and then we'd turn it in. Then we'd do the spoken exam, and that exam was my favorite way that I've ever had a language exam be conducted. And I've had multiple different types of language exams, and this is my favorite. Is that we'd get to school, we'd wait at the lounge, and one by one we'd be pulled into the classroom with our teacher, and she would just have a tablet right in front of her with the grammar that she wants you to use, and she would just talk to you. And she's like, okay, you just need to use this grammar. I'm like, okay, swipes to the next one. Okay, swipes to the next one. And it was just all the grammar that we talked about. And she would just be like checking them off if you know how to use them correctly. And the final thing we'd do to wrap up the whole like testing time would be a little project where we'd print out 3 or 4 pictures about what we did in Seoul, and then we'd just write a little blurb about it. I planned for the first one. This is my plan. This is what it ended up looking like. This is my second one. Notice that there's less corrections, and this is what it ended up looking like. On to the location. This school is in Hongik. This place has everything. So the school is a little more retirado than to the main street. It's not literally right on the main street. As they cuenta, it's the main street and it's down by like 1 or 2 blocks. The school itself was really close to a place called Mega Coffee, and right across the street there was another coffee place. I forgot the name. I'm blanking on it. But there's literally 2 delicious ass coffee places right across the street. And right underneath there's also a cafe called like the Lamb. Something like that. Algo así. I'm drawing a blank because I was just like, Mega Coffee. There is so much to do in Hongdae. This location is a freaking 10 out of 10. There is so much. There's so many restaurants. There are so many stores. I literally got most of my clothing from Hongdae. Also, this chain and this ring right here, Hongdae. Like, my hair, Hongdae. I got this done at Bell Hair, so y'all should go check her out. She's cool. There's this place called Nuna Chicken. I was such a regular that I'd walk in and the dude would just be like, the usual, and I was like, yes, sir. Literally in the exit that I took to get to class, I think it was exit number 1, to the left, there was a Dunkin' Donuts. That's where I got my donuts every morning. To the right, there was a Mega Box. That's a movie theater. I never went because I'm dumb, but at least it was there. I also got this made. It's a wooden block with my 2 children burnt onto it. It's really cool. I got one for my mom and my sister as well, but these are some of the things you can get in Hongdae. I'm telling you, there's so much. There's this study cafe that I never recorded at because I just forgot, but it was so cool. You go in and you pay by the hour, and you can either pay just by the hour or by the hour with a drink, and you can just vibe there. You take your shoes off, you grab some slides, some pantuflas, and you can just go into the little booth. And if you go up the stairs, there's a little area with like 4 tents, and you can just vibe out in one of the tents. There's little cubicles where you can just lay down and charge your phone, do your homework, read some manhwa. Like, I love that place so much, and I loved it. The location doesn't get any better. Onto my expectations. Honestly, my expectations were very low because of previous experiences that I had. Man, I was shook. I don't know that much Korean, but I was just so much more comfortable talking to people because I knew so much more, because we practiced so much that I was just able to like talk to people whatever I needed. I would just be like, not super quick obviously, but I'd be able to articulate things and communicate so much more because I was just more confident to talk to people because I felt like I did so much. My mind was blown that we actually went through 2 books and we did every single page, every single exercise thoroughly, and the teacher would walk around and make sure that we were doing it properly, and she'd give you ways to improve things like pronunciation. They were on top of it, and I felt like I can just like ser un poquito más aventada. I was able to just go for it a little more. So expectations were exceeded. Onto the environment. I'm a very anxious person, so I'm always very like reserved when I first get anywhere. I'm always very quiet and I just kind of keep to myself. But by the end of the first week, I was fully engaged with everyone and everything. And I was just always talking and this and that and contributing and participating and talking to my classmates more openly. I just felt so welcome and so comfortable, because from that first day, it very much felt like it was just a community that was just opening its arms to me. We were all just vibing together. We were learning. We were chit-chatting. We went to go eat together because I was definitely very scared, as I always am, even though I felt a little more comfortable because I was there with a friend from my other school. So I was a little more like relaxed. But when I was completely alone, that's when I would be a little like, But they helped me just relax so quickly by being just so open, so helpful. The staff would always greet us like, hi, how you doing? They were so chill with you. I was a little worried that after I finished my classes, they would just kind of like leave me like, okay, pues ya, se acabaron las clases, ya, who cares, right? Because in my previous experience, when I was waiting for my taxi to go back to Incheon, you know, I was literally sitting there waiting because I think my taxi was supposed to get there like at 12:30, and it was like 12:45 and no one had said anything to me. My first time there in Seoul, and I was very like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know who to text, like what the heck? Like I asked the people like, hey, what time is the checkout for the hotel? And they're like, you can just Google that. And I was like, okay, thank you. So I was really like, what the heck? So I didn't know who to contact about the taxi, and I just remember that I figured out that the taxi was there for me because I looked outside and there was this really confused dude, and I went outside and I was like, 저기요, 누구 are you here for? Oh, I'm here for Leslie. And I'm like, oh, 저는 Leslie, let me go get my stuff. And that's how I was able to get back to the airport. So had I not been like, I wouldn't have figured it out. But the second time around, I was there, and it was like around the time, I think I was gonna get picked up at around 11 because my Airbnb checkout was at 11. I was moving all of my things, and as I was moving my things down the stairs, I got a call from the front desk, and they're like, hey Leslie, the taxi is here. They're outside, but there's a few issues with the parking because of the area that it's in, so he's gonna come back around and he's gonna be like around here. But he's there. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. I remember when I got the call, I was like, thank you so much, because I was like, oh my god, I thought I was gonna be left out to dry again. She literally called me. She's like, I'm literally like tears in my eyes, bro. She was literally like, oh yeah, he's here. He's outside. Like, let us know. Like, where are you at? Like, you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm literally on my way out. It's all good. And he's like, okay, just letting you know he's there. And I was like, I was like, thank you so much. I was so grateful. And something I didn't really talk about that much here because I was just talking about the Korean classes, but my dance teacher, he was super cool from the days that I did go. And my vocal teacher, I love you, girl. You are awesome. We would do these private classes and she'd have so much patience with me, bro. And sometimes I felt bad because I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She's like, you're good, you're fine. And we were just, yeah, I love her. She was cool. I had to give her a shout out here. On to the price. Go back to the beginning. When I was there, they gave me my quote. From the beginning, they told me exactly how much I was gonna pay, how much was going to what, how much activity credits I was getting. It was completely transparent. I remember when I first got my price, my friend and I were looking at it, we were like, what the fuck? Because it said 7,000, and we were like, but then I kept looking and it said 0, and my eyes were like 0. And then I look, W, and I was like, I looked at my friend, I was like, it's in won. 5,000, I think 600 for 2 months plus a hotel stay. So I was like, hey, is it okay if I take out the hotel stay because I need to find it somewhere else? And they're like, yeah, sure. And so they gave me my quote, and let me tell you guys, I took the K-pop course for 8 weeks, and that included 1 K-pop vocal class, so like a group class each week, and 2 K-pop dance classes each week. And my total, with no accommodation, by the way, so no hotel, my total was $2,982 for 8 weeks. Gave you so many activity credits, and it wasn't like a tacked on cost. It was part of your tuition. It was part of what you paid, so you didn't have to pay extra for it. Just if you ran out in the future and you wanted to go to more, then you'd have to pay a little more. They would do bi-weekly activities. Think about it, you have activity credits, you could go do so many things, you can explore with your classmates. This price really includes airport transport from Incheon to Seoul, not from Seoul to Incheon. But if you were to add that on, that's like $100. It's still an amazing price. I'm personally going back. I'm probably gonna snatch somebody to go back with me. So yes, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I hope you guys learned about a different program that you guys can go check out in Seoul, and I hope more people start talking about this place because it's amazing and it deserves the recognition. So yeah, that's Rolling Korea. If you guys have any questions, drop them down below. I'll probably do a Q&A because there's a lot of questions that I've gotten like on Instagram, on my YouTube comments. So I just want to keep everybody informed. So drop the questions down below. I'll either respond down there or I'll make another video responding to as many questions as possible. Unfortunately, I'm not able to personally speak on the activities themselves because I did not have time to be able to participate in them, but I'm going back. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna participate in as many activities as possible, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tell you guys all the information on that. There's other videos of me talking about different schools and stuff like that and studying Korea and life abroad or whatever. I hope you guys enjoy. See ya.